You don't hate them. You hate yourself. And the worst part is, you almost know that already. Let that sit. There's someone in your life right now, someone who irritates you more than they should. Maybe it's a coworker who talks too confidently. Maybe it's a friend who posts too many wins. Maybe it's someone who seems comfortable in their own skin. And every time you see them, something tightens. You call it annoyance. You call it they're fake. You call it they're arrogant. But the intensity doesn't match the crime. That's the clue. Because hatred that strong is rarely about the other person. It's about what they awaken in you. You wake up, you check your phone, you see someone your age doing better, more money, better body, more attention, more confidence, and instantly your brain starts working. They're probably insecure. They had help. They're not even that talented. They're trying too hard. You don't even realize you're defending yourself. From what? From shame. Carl Jung called this projection. The parts of ourselves we refuse to face, we throw onto other people. It's cleaner that way. If they're the problem, you don't have to be. Think about the person you can't stand. What exactly about them bothers you? Is it their confidence? Or is it that you feel small around them? Is it their discipline? Or is it that you know you avoid effort? Is it their attention seeking? Or is it that you secretly want to be seen too? Be honest. When someone triggers you, it's usually because they are expressing something you've buried, either a trait you reject or a trait you wish you had, and both are painful. Nietzsche once wrote about resentment. He described how people who feel powerless often cope by morally condemning those who have what they lack. Instead of saying, I want that, but I'm afraid to pursue it, they say, that thing is shallow, that person is bad. It feels righteous. It protects the ego, but it also keeps you small. Because as long as you frame others as the villain, you never have to confront your own hesitation. Let that sit. Maybe you say you hate arrogant people, but what you really hate is that you don't allow yourself to be bold. Maybe you say you hate people who show off, but what you really hate is that you're terrified of being judged. Maybe you say you hate successful people, but what you really hate is how aware you are of your own inaction. Hatred becomes a shield, a psychological defense. If you attack them first, you don't have to examine yourself. Watch how this works in real time. You see someone confident. Instead of asking, what would it take for me to develop that? Your mind goes to, they're overcompensating. Why? Because asking the first question would require responsibility. And responsibility is heavy. It means you'd have to admit something, that you're not where you want to be, that you've been avoiding risk, that you've chosen comfort over growth. It's easier to judge. It's harder to confront. Jung talked about the shadow. The shadow is everything about you that you don't want to admit exists. Your envy, your pettiness, your laziness, your need for validation, your insecurity. You push these parts down. You build an identity around not being those things. I'm not jealous. I'm not like them. But the shadow doesn't disappear. It leaks. And it leaks through irritation, through criticism, through disproportionate reactions. The more intense the hatred, the more likely it's connected to something inside you. Ask yourself something uncomfortable. Why does their success bother you so much? Why does their happiness annoy you? If you were secure, would it hit that deeply? If you were content with your own path, would their path disturb you? Probably not. Secure people don't obsess over others. They're too busy living. Sometimes it's even darker. Sometimes you hate someone because they reflect the part of you that you're ashamed of. You see someone needy. You feel disgust, but you're needy too. You just hide it better. You see someone desperate for attention. You judge them, but you crave attention just as much. You just disguise it as ambition or networking or standards. The hatred is a mirror, and you don't like what it shows. Modern life makes this worse. You are constantly exposed to other people's highlights, filtered faces, curated lifestyles, public victories. Your brain compares automatically, and comparison creates hierarchy. Where do I stand? Am I above them? Am I below them? If you feel below, shame appears, and shame quickly turns into judgment. Because judgment feels stronger than shame, it's easier to say, they're fake, than to say, I feel inadequate. Let that sit. There's another layer. Identity. You've built a version of yourself, a personality, a narrative. I'm the quiet one. I'm the smart one. I'm the humble one. I'm the misunderstood one. Now imagine someone enters your life who contradicts that narrative. They're confident without apology. They're disciplined without drama. They're successful without self-pity. And suddenly your identity feels unstable. If they exist, what does that say about you? It threatens the story you tell yourself. So you attack them. Not physically, psychologically, in your head. You downgrade them to protect your narrative. Because if they're legitimate, then you might have to change. And change is uncomfortable. It requires dropping excuses. It requires effort. It requires risk. It requires admitting you've been hiding. Hatred is easier. Hatred feels powerful. It gives you a temporary high, a sense of superiority. But underneath it, there's insecurity, there's comparison, there's a quiet voice saying, you could be more, but you're not. And that voice hurts, so you drown it in criticism of others. Notice how often your thoughts revolve around people you claim not to care about. Why do they occupy so much mental space? If they were irrelevant, you wouldn't replay them in your head. Obsession disguised as contempt. That's not hatred. That's unresolved internal conflict. You're not fighting them. You're fighting what they represent. Possibility, potential, or exposure. This doesn't mean every criticism is projection. Some people are genuinely unpleasant. Some behaviors are genuinely harmful. But the intensity matters. The emotional charge matters. If your reaction is extreme, there's usually something personal underneath it. Something about you. Something unexamined. Imagine for a moment that the person you hate is simply expressing a trait you've suppressed. Confidence, ambition, attention-seeking, sensitivity, dominance, creativity. What if your hatred is actually grief? Grief for the risks you didn't take. Grief for the voice you silenced. That's harder to admit. It's easier to say, they're insufferable. So here's the uncomfortable question. Who do you resent, and what do they have that you don't allow yourself to have? Sit with that. Don't answer quickly. Don't intellectualize it. Feel it. Is it freedom? Is it boldness? Is it discipline? Is it peace? The answer will tell you more about yourself than about them. You don't hate them. You hate the gap between who you are and who you could be, the gap between your current self and your potential. They just make the gap visible, and visibility hurts, because once you see it clearly, you can't pretend it isn't there. Let that sit. The next time someone triggers you, pause. Instead of asking, what's wrong with them? Ask, what is this revealing about me? Not as self-blame, as awareness. Because awareness is uncomfortable, but it's honest, and honesty is rare, especially with yourself. You don't hate them. You hate the parts of yourself you haven't faced, the parts you've denied, the parts you've judged, the parts you've buried. And until you confront those, you will keep finding new people to resent, new targets, new justifications, but the feeling will stay the same, because the source was never them. It was always you. Let that sit.